All right, folks, some breaking news here. You know, I hear Joe Biden and his crew don't like how the president is covered by the media. Did you hear that? I hear he's frustrated with reporters. Joe is, quote, sour about the way he's being treated. And my question is why? Because I actually think they continue to give him a free pass on just about everything when they shouldn't. In fact, the very things they demolished Donald Trump for gets the cricket treatment by the leftist media, the propaganda media. And my message is now, mainstream media, come on, liberal elites, I'm calling you out. We knew this would happen. We knew that the media would spin the things that Donald Trump did as the devil's work. Different strokes for different folks, while the very same policies, actions, and words coming out of Joe Biden's mouth and the left, well, they're deemed downright angelic, justified, because it's in the name of democracy, right? Donald Trump wanted to fill the strategic petroleum reserve in March of 2020 when oil was at $24 a barrel, the SPR. Wanted to fill it. Chuck Schumer, senator, that called it a big oil bailout.
Based on the price of oil, I've also instructed the Secretary of Energy to purchase, at a very good price, large quantities of crude oil for storage in the U.S. Strategic Reserve. We're going to fill it right up to the top, saving the American taxpayer billions and billions of dollars.
It's true. $24 a barrel at the time, friends. And now, well, now Joe Biden will pay about triple that amount to fill the reserves that they took out after draining them to keep gas prices artificially low, just in time for the midterms. Didn't work, though, to dupe some Americans into voting blue. Right, KJP?
Back in 2020, when Congress was debating funding for replenishing the SPR at a low price, Democrats blocked it, saying that it was a bailout for big oil. But now President Biden said today that it would be a good
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. You're talking about when Donald Trump was trying to sell it at $20 per barrel to buy it. Look, it was a different time then. It was not the same situation that we are currently in.
What? Of course it was a different time. Sure, it's different. If different means the same, because I think what KJP means by different is that this time it's happening for votes and not for the benefit of Americans, like it was when Trump tried to buy it at 24. They're going to buy it at 94. I think different means it's just magically, totally coincidence that we're less than 3 weeks out to midterm elections. But no, says the propaganda networks. That's not what's happening here. What this is about preserving democracy.
Oil companies, OPEC, Saudis, not exactly eager to make sure prices are low before an election where Democratic candidates are vulnerable. It's also why Saudi Arabia might want to suddenly announce a cut in oil production right before the midterms. Of course, Democrats can't just throw their hands up and say, oh, well, because the future of American democracy is in, as we report night in, night out on this program, real peril, existential peril. And so we find ourselves in a situation where keeping gas prices low is key to preserving and strengthening the future of our democracy.
Keeping gas prices low. That is socialism, folks. So how does the old song go? The one from the musical Annie, Get Your Gun. Anything you can do, I can do better. Joe Biden certainly does it better. If better means worse, hey, if Democrats can change the meanings of words to suit their purpose, under Donald Trump, the stock market went up and up and up again, even through the tug of war with China on trade, even through the pandemic. Sure, it dropped and it came back up. Despite occasional dips and turns, obviously, the market hit record after record. Recall?
Your country is doing well. We just set a record in the stock market, over 30,000 in the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Over 30,000. Think of that. Nobody ever thought we were going to hit that.
Yeah. But also remember how Joe said that no one cares about stock markets. No one cares about equity markets, said Scranton Joe.
Move on to the next question.
They said the stock market will boom if I'm elected. If he's elected, the stock market will crash.
Okay, let's move on to the next question very quickly.
Look, the idea that the stock market is booming is his only measure of what's happening. Where I come from in Scranton and Claymont, the people don't live off of the stock market.
Okay, all right. But Joe didn't just love taking credit for the markets he was handed by Donald Trump, did he?
The stock market, the last guy's measure of everything, is about 20% higher than it was when my predecessor was there. It has hit record after record after record on my watch.
Okay. So it went up a little bit when he took over, obviously following through on Trump's policies, lower oil prices, low inflation, dealing with foreign governments instead of fighting with them, OPEC working with Trump. So yeah, it did go up for, I don't know, a couple of months. But then the records, when it's on Trump's, no one cares about it, right? Scranton boy, he didn't like stocks then. But when it's on yours, you're talking about it. Now, more than $9 trillion in the stock market have been lost under you, Joe, in this year, under your watch. But suddenly, the left doesn't want to talk about markets anymore. Donald Trump is so mean, they said. He says mean stuff. He tweets mean things. We don't like mean things being said, but then Joe Biden downright insults half of America, calls him extremist, and he's considered to be defending democracy. See how it works? The media said Donald Trump was losing it. Question his faculties. I think it goes without saying, but pretty sure Biden has trumped him there.
And I want to thank all of you here for including bipartisan elected officials like Representative Governor, Senator Braun, Senator Booker, Representative Jackie. Are you here? Where's Jackie? I didn't think she was going to be here.
Jackie's dead. Jackie's gone. Donald Trump's campaign promised to build that wall. Remember that? Building the wall was core to his campaign and his presidency. He wanted to protect our borders and our citizens and our sovereignty. It was a priority. But it was called racist by the left, an inhumane policy, because according to the left, it's inhumane to try and thwart human smuggling, to try to stop the drug cartels from having their way with our border, and most importantly, to protect Americans. Joe Biden came into office. No more border wall. Not under my watch, he says. Come on, come all. They even thank him, except it's not working out so well now, is it, Joe? So they're coming in droves. They're coming in record numbers. And now, drum roll, please. Oh, yeah, that's right. Border wall construction resumes. Look at that there, folks. Resume the border wall quietly. They whispered that, didn't they? Joe Biden will rev up work on Donald Trump's signature project that they call racist. That's okay, I guess, because the justification for doing so is for, quote, environmental reasons now. Isn't that the case for everything with them? Now it makes sense. It makes it okay for them. But doing so under Donald Trump to protect citizens, not so much. That's racist. Just look at the New York Times. No surprise here, folks. The tale of two presidents. Even though Joe Biden has been telling lies for years, he's plagiarized speeches and then lied about it and then had to admit to it. Even though he's lied for years about his education and has told plenty of whoppers, and not only has admitted to it, but also been called out by the mainstream media for being a liar, and even he had to drop out of a presidential race earlier. Joe Biden, the storyteller, they call him. The storyteller, they call him. Sound a little different? Spins yarns that often unravel. Wow, you think? The high spin zone spins the story and the yarn it wants to, what? Embellish narratives. But for the New York Times with Donald Trump, they use the word lie. Lie after lie, leading to, in their words, the erosion of our democracy. So Trump lies in the largest font ever, by the way, they could find. The same font they used when Hitler invaded Poland in 1939, but Biden, oh, he's a storyteller. A little storyteller. And so, according to the New York Times, the president's constant lying is, what, in defense of our democracy. Gotcha. I think the real storyteller here is, in fact, the New York Times, is it not? When I redraw voting districts, it's redistricting. But when my opponent does it, it's gerrymandering. When I nuke the filibuster, it's achieving democracy. When you nuke the filibuster, it's disrespecting Senate tradition. When Biden says that a judicial nomination shouldn't happen within an election year, it's called the Biden rule. But when Senator Mitch McConnell refuses to hold a hearing for Merrick Garland, it's subverting democracy. Because I would argue that, for example, using federal agencies against your political opponents might be one of the biggest threats to our democracy. I would argue that sending a massive armed IRS army, 87,000 new ones on top of the 70,000 already there, that's one of the biggest threats to our democracy, not Donald Trump. Under Donald Trump, during the peak of the pandemic, Title 42 was established to curb immigration, to stop the flow of the virus into the country. And of course, what did the left do? Well, they demonized the policy. Even though it's the very same policy, it was actually instituted in 1944. But now Joe Biden is expanding Title 42. See what happens? They called him stuff. They called him a liar. They called him racist. And they do the same thing, and they hide under the guise of it's environmental or we're defending democracy. This is just BS. They're just lying. The Department of Homeland Security announced it would use Title 42 to turn away Venezuelans at the border. And that would mean nixing asylum for a nationality that has become one of the largest populations to seek refuge in the United States. So where are the outcries? Where's the cries of racist? Joe's racist. Why aren't they saying that? Joe Biden cried foul, has been crying foul for months. He and his White House energy cronies have been accusing OPEC and its allies of manipulating oil prices. So what does Joe Biden do? He tries to manipulate oil prices by dipping into our very, very important strategic petroleum reserve. Less than 3 weeks to election day. He pulls out 15 million more barrels. Where are all the people? Where are all the guys and the gals? Where are all the reporters? Where are you, mainstream media? But you see, they won't do it. They won't call him out. They won't call him out. He's just getting votes, the detriment of the country and the future. They won't call him out on the sign of sheer political desperation. They can't have that. Donald Trump lies, but Joe Biden is a storyteller. Right, New York Times? Donald Trump is a racist, but Joe Biden is defending democracy. Right, Chris Hayes? Joe Biden thinks voters are simple. Joe Biden thinks voters are stupid. And his mouthpieces, his media propagandists, are only furthering that cause. Joe Biden could have deflated oil prices months ago. He could have stopped this whole thing in one fell swoop if he just declared an end to his political war on fossil fuels. Now that would have been protecting the interests of the American people and democracy. The Biden White House actually thought the leak would lower oil prices. It didn't. And Joe Stunt announced on Wednesday did absolutely nothing to help matters either. Turns out the markets are smarter than Joe Biden and his new world order army. And I think voters will be smarter too. And remember, he released oil from the SPR. Oil's been up $5 a barrel since they announced it.